Instagram as well?
No. Oh my gosh. We're live.
We're live.
Hello.
Hello. I'm really excited about this one. Oh. Okay, so we're gonna wait for some more people to come in. And yeah, just ground in with some light language, because this is what this live is about today. So okay, so just inviting you, if you can, just to, close your eyes, tune in with us, ground in with us. And again, just gonna surrender this live today, surrender this transmission to Spirit, to Great Spirit, to true source of all creation. And I'm feeling also just maybe to invite you to set an intention for yourself or what you would like to receive from this transmission today from us and this live. Kuambe via tenzekena chutuna kemia tuma wala keyania televua sekenia tum. Ajevia tukawa sekinia tuma wakeleia telinia tania. Kamia tuwa sakenia tuma wasekenia tuma wasekenia tuma wasekenia tuva wakelini yiri tawetere. Imia kuma wasekenia tuma walakenia. Tuma wala kenia mua sekenia tuma wa seke eri ma wa shikini tama wa lerini uma wa sekenia 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 ma vei talana ga wa re hu ka wa sekenia tuma 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 wa shikenia, tuma wa shikenia, tuma wa shikenia.
And just grounding into the present moment, allowing yourself to fully come into this container as you are. Sungi asakyano kwayana ya iso kunaiki anasatwan aikyanoi shunzeyam Sukyano sui sanai.
Okay, everyone. So, welcome. On my end, I cannot see how many people are present. Hi, Reality Chica. It's good to see you here. Joyce as well. Please let us know, everyone, where you're tuning in from. And just welcome again to this very powerful and raw transmission, because it was just such a beautiful parallel that we experienced here, where we're finding ourselves that we're wanting to bring out more of that expression of ourselves, which is what we're really going to dive into today, which is what is light language. And there's been a lot of parallel in terms of like the barriers to self-expression. Like for me, it's a very important part of my work, and people that work with me witness it, but for me to bring it out like live or online, like there's been a lot of resistance in that. So that's some of the things that we want to dive into today, and definitely like keep watching, because we're also going to open it up for Q&A at some point. So you can leave your questions whenever something up for you of resonance, or you're feeling like you want to drop a bit of more, you want more clarity around, just drop your questions. But how do you feel about diving into that first part about sharing, what is that experience, we're having with, with light language. How did it maybe start for you, and what, stopped you from maybe expressing more and more of that part?
Question for me. It sounds like you're talking to everybody, the audience and me. It's amazing. So first, so voice expression, like Natalia was saying, it's all of this is connected a lot to just your ability to express yourself authentically. So even if you're not into light language and you don't want to do it yourself, while it is like a vehicle that can help you really tune into your authentic frequency and get in touch with what expressing it looks like, this conversation is also going to just be about the blocks towards authentically showing up as ourselves, because that's what it's been. A lot of my journey has been around this. So first, so Natalia, we want to share like where it activated for us.
Yeah, just share whatever's in your heart, in terms of that.
Yeah. So plant medicine has played a huge role for me in awakening my voice and awakening processing and transmuting energy through my voice. First time I even I use my voice was when I was taking hape, and the subconscious, from what I was perceiving on the hape shamanic snuff, right? The subconscious would come up and all the emotions would flood. Like the gates of the subconscious emotion would like flood open. And it was just, I remember sitting with such like intense feelings, and it felt like the only way I could like move through it was to make sounds. So it wasn't like light language, but it was like just sounds that like wanted to come out and move the energy through the voice. For a lot of my life, I remember when I was young, I always wanted to sing, but I was extremely shy. And so I was like, oh, I just can't sing. I remember telling that to myself in elementary school. Like, I just can't sing. I can't I'm just not good at like communicating. I just had this story about myself. So for the voice to open up like this, and in such a way that was moving, like physically, I could feel energy moving within me. I could feel my emotions and blockages moving within me. That was a powerful tool. But with the light language, so again, it was over a year ago in one of my ayahuasca ceremonies. And it was an interesting experience because that entire ceremony, the main theme was about my fear of looking like I'm crazy in front of other people. And what was really interesting, so it was with the Yawanawa tribe, and they have this song that goes Wako Maya con lepita. And they keep like playing that song throughout the night. But at one point in the middle of the ceremony, I just start hearing the song go, Wako Maya. My name is Maya. So it's like, Wako Maya, Wako Maya. So I'm like, oh my gosh, now they're calling me crazy. And if you've ever been in a ceremony, everything's like enhanced. And that experience of like, they're calling me crazy. Now I don't have a safe space. Literally, the shamans I came to are calling me crazy. They weren't actually calling me crazy, right? It was just the medicine revealing to me my deep fear of being seen as crazy and being judged and not belonging. And so within that ceremony, I just remember before that moment where the Wakomaya thing happened, I wanted to come up there and just dance with everybody. And because they were allowing everybody to kind of join in a line and dance with them. And I just couldn't get myself to get up and dance because I was just, again, it's just that fear of judgment and like, I'm going to be shunned away, even though that was totally not what was going to happen. But that was the experience of that ceremony. And within that ceremony, there was a point where I went to sit by the fire, and it was near the middle end of the ceremony. And then the stream, it felt like a tsunami wave almost of energy hit me, and just light language started coming out of me. I had no control, no pre-planned thought of what I was saying, but it was just like this stream of light language the first time ever that light language came out of me was in the ayahuasca ceremony. And excuse me, oh, throat stuff. And well, I remember the guy that helped walk me back to the ceremonial space. I remember telling him, I feel like I just said everything that I didn't allow myself to previously say. I felt like I said everything that I needed to say that I never said before through the light language, through that energy that I guess was blocked from coming out within me until that point. So that is my just activation and just like kind of like a short journey with my voice and light language and all that. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like I just want to invite everybody that's watching just to feel into yourself also where, there's an element, not necessarily maybe if you do express like sound and like light language, but where maybe you find that your self-expression is blocked. Because, I'm really feeling this. Like last time you and I spoke, Maya, right? We could feel like we were like clearing a lot in our throat. And I'm feeling that as well right now. It's like allowing that freedom of speaking whatever we need to speak and share our story without having those, which we're going to get into, right, those projections or those fear of what's going to happen, but really allowing, instead of that constraint, like just this opening and expansion to come through. And that is so beautiful. So in your story, because in these rounds, right, in the plant medicine and these things, is like it allows that space to get out of our own head and just to be a channel for what is. So yeah, so for me it definitely activated when I just started getting onto my path. So I would say like maybe around 2016. And the very first time, a lot of things happened for me in the Temazcal, hence why it's a very important medicine that I use, because that's where I had my remembrance of who I am. It was in the very first Temazcal experience, which is a shamanic sweat lodge. And I remember the first one was just so powerful. And I remember in that moment, I didn't know what I was doing, but the shaman that was holding the space was like, "Are you knowing that you're speaking in tongues?" I was like, "Oh, wow. No, I didn't know what that was." But the moment that I just enter that space, I kind of call it like I'm just in the flow, in the rhythm. Like it's just me, purely me, without anything else on the outside kind of, affecting or infiltrating. It's just me, purely me. And so that was the very first time that it activated. And then I started noticing just using it. And whenever I'm in the flow, whether in those spaces and ceremonies or just by myself, I just started bringing it out, bringing it out. And it just started activating more and more. The more that I started believing in myself, it just started happening. And it's not something that I find myself that I seek. It was just something that would come to me. And the way that I broke it down, and I know you mentioned that a little bit, Maya, that it's about your moving energy. And I realized that that's what was going on for me, that either it was something that was either stored within my body or something that I could pick up on the outside if I'm in a ceremonial space, that I just felt that the only way through was through making those sounds. And the sounds would start moving things, and I would start feeling like I'm embodying deeper aspects of myself. And throughout the journey then, in the shamanic path that I started, embarking on and taking, was I realized that it was very much linked to grid keeping. So, and gatekeeping, and just opening up the portals of spirit, or even just moving energies and even recoding the grid. Because I started realizing that as I was doing that, the geometries and the codes started shifting in my own body, in the field around me. So even like in the shamanic space holding that I'm doing, it started moving the energy. And so that's one of the main things that I use it for. I feel like it's a tool to really anchor in divine grid and move and recode the grid. So from like distortions and like very old energies or dense energies to like higher one, or more, just more aligned one with our own source energy. So I just wanted to speak here. I don't know if you want to add anything, Maya, but like how you're using it right now. But this is one of the ways that I use it. And that's why I said, like, I use it in most of my work. And people, if you're listening to this and you're doing work with me, you know that you've heard me. And it's just interesting that I haven't brought it up in that way. And so I use it in the Temazcal, I use it in the shamanic space holding I do, but also use it in the quantum energy work to really move the energy, especially if there's like trauma or if there's distortion, if there's sometimes, dark entities that are locked, or there's a very strong shadow. It's an element of light, hence why it's called like light language. And we're going to dive into all that. I don't want to kind of speed up things, but yeah, if you want to add anything on to that, Maya.
Yeah, I mean, so there's so much here, right? I find that there often is like a process of first feeling into the thing that is, you can call it stuck energy, block, or just kind of something subconscious coming up for you in your field, and speaking as you are doing the light. Oh, my camera's being exciting. As you're speaking the light language, it is right filtering, or yeah, just transmuting is the word, through your system, all that stuck energy, and allowing it to actually move within your body. And then at the same time, you're bringing in a new way of being that you can shift into through the sound. So whether it is, I oftentimes also listen to others' light language. I have a bunch downloaded that I listen to, and it's a different experience, like receiving it. But when I receive it, it's like oftentimes when I receive light language, there's like shivers, or there's some kind of like release or movement of energy that might bring up certain emotions first, and then allow me to like better settle into more ease. Do you ever experience that?
Yeah, I think that's where it's like it becomes like a tool for alchemizing, right? That's why it's like saying kind of that recoding, even within myself. If I'm feeling like any sort of tightness, but more than anything, also I find like if there's a distortion that I'm moving through, or somebody else's projection, if I'm feeling like that is about, if I've lost sense of who I am because of like, absorbing a lot on the outside, because I really have that where I just sometimes get lost in my environment or what's going on outside. Or if I'm having a lot of like doubts or self-doubts or things like that, I feel it's super empowering just using those tunes. For me, this is where it's been the most key.
Yeah, and what's interesting about light language is that, sometimes when I'm feeling chaotic, my energy is like scattered or chaotic, I try to do like my meditations or my yoga or the things that usually help me relax. And sometimes those things don't work. And then I go to light language and either listening to somebody else's, or if that doesn't work, I tune into my own stream of it. And even if I can't say it out loud in the moment because there's like somebody around me or something, like somebody sleeping or something like that, I can hear it in my head, like the flow, the light language, and it kind of like bursts through all the thoughts that may be coming up, because it's like you can't have the thought and the light language at the same time, and you can't even get into your head about it because it's just the soul frequency coming through.
That's
There's
it.
no story. There's no story to get around it. You're simply receiving and transmuting. That's it. You're not getting into a story, into your thoughts. All that's like cleared away with light language. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's the more of like just not, you said it, because there's no judgment. Like you can't just cut, oh, am I sounding right? Is this sounding right? And it's just like, no, you just gotta, keep moving with it and keep flowing with it. And the more that I dive into it, the more it's like I just see the expansion. And that's why I said I see like the grid just opening up and more and more and more and more. And so many times, like I found that there's no thoughts, but sometimes like when I'm doing like grit work and doing the energy work with people, that sometimes there could be an infiltration or something that's wanting me to stop, or wanting me to it's really wanting me to stop, because in those moments, like the shadow or the dark entities or whatever, they don't want to move. So they really want me to stop. And that's where I realized like I can really feel that force. It's just like dimming my voice, or dimming dimming me piercing through, and then I find like it's like fire. I just start giving it more, and just opening up more of that flow. It's something like, just whether it's with instruments or with movement in my body, and then boom, 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 it starts piercing through. And I find that interesting because it's interesting. Okay, now we're talking about light language, and I don't want to dive, go into a tangent, but I feel it's the same with just everything in life. Even if it's, when we feel like we're shut down with something, it requires that much push. I don't know if you can resonate with this, Maya, but like with when doing like it requires a sort of push to get out of our own way, so that we can just push out just our energy, the light that is inside us, rather than just letting all these other things kind of, dim us. And it requires that much energy. And I notice the same thing with light language. It requires that output, like that, just, yeah, this output of energy to just make it flow and just make it happen.
I know, I totally resonate with that, because it's like, when it comes to just authentically expressing yourself, and sometimes I might have trouble in the beginning getting into the flow of the light language, right? Because of all those thoughts of doubt and the and that I'm like not being here in the moment, not being fully present, and kind of letting my energy be dispersed by, right, all the thoughts of doubt, all the thoughts of, am I doing this right? What are people thinking? And what's expected of me? Oh yeah, that's a big one. What's expected of me right now? And how am I supposed to be talking right now? And how is the even, either to talking or expressing, or specifically can apply it, how is the light language supposed to sound right now? There's right. And like you said, there's no way that the light language needs to sound. The whole point of it, and like we were talking before, just tapping into authentically into our flow, into what is here and what is present for us. Like, you can't mess up light language if you are fully present with yourself as you are. There's no expectation of how it like should sound. And so it's like almost a metaphor for how you show up in life.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting for me because you mentioned that, right? But like, I found it interesting that when I'm in those containers, like the shamanic containers, I just have like no thoughts, such thoughts emerge of like, what are people thinking? Like, I am so embodied and like so clear on like, this is it. But yeah, like I can't imagine myself, not being in public, but just like, being outside my house and just doing light language and having, just strangers or people that are not in that container kind of walk through. So I think that's interesting. Like, why, even that's why I said it, kind of just bringing up and putting it outside. And I don't know if we want to, if we want to dive into that thing of like, what held us back from coming out with that, because it's just another form of self-expression.
Yeah, let's get into this one. This is exciting. I'm just going through what we kind of wrote about. We're going to talk about correlation of authentic expression, fears of others' projections as a block to owning one's authentic frequency. So this is my first live stream on YouTube ever, and I'm doing this light language thing, and I was so nervous like before, and then I calmed down like 30 minutes before we I calmed down because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna be playful and this is gonna be fun and I'm gonna approach it like this. But what's been stopping? Well, what's interesting is that I've only showed light language in certain containers. Like, I went to this camp and it was like an emotional healing camp for adults, and I did this group light language thing, and then I came up with one of the facilitators. I found out she also does light language, and we did it in front of the entire group. But it felt like also like I had to really push myself, and there was a lot of fear coming up. And it's like when that fear comes up, that you're like on the verge of like a new level of just being okay with yourself, like being okay with yourself. But like I said, like I had my biggest fear in that ayahuasca ceremony, the biggest block to like owning light language. I don't post it on my Instagram. I have never posted light language on my Instagram yet, right? And that's a place where I really like to post like singing or flows or that kind of stuff. And light language hasn't made it to there yet. It's a good one. Because right now, if you asked me to post light language on Instagram, I would be really afraid of mm, I mean, it's like the thing from that ceremony that hasn't been fully integrated of appearing as being crazy and like losing touch with reality. And I don't, because I know a lot of the world. I mean, I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying like the mainstream light language duo singing. We did some of that in the beginning, but we'll do some more later transmissions. Wait, what I was saying. Yeah, because I feel like the mainstream would look at me and be like, "Oh, she's out of touch with reality. She's like, what are these random sounds you're making? They don't mean anything." And you just think and you just believe that there's some energy, but you're just being delusional. But I know that's not the truth, you know? So why am I still, and this is kind of like I'm just exploring it right now. Why am I still worried about that if I know that's not the truth and I know my own experience of light language and how I use it for myself? And how I've used it for other people and in circles. You know, why that's the question there. Because I think it comes down to the belief that I won't belong and be accepted. But I don't know what I'm trying to be belonging and accepting to. You know?
Yeah.
If it's people that don't even want to understand or aren't open to it. That's the question. Why am I still like holding myself back in that way? Because YouTube is easier for me because it's not the people that know me in person I don't know if they follow me on YouTube, so I just don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I just felt like maybe after sharing, we can do some of that moving energy right now. I don't know if you'd be up for it, but just moving that, that uh, it really feels like a choked and like embedded deep, deep, deep embedded code, because that's why I said like we have that parallel. And I know that it goes into so many aspects, like for me, when you were talking, as I said, like I felt when I'm in the shamanic containers, boom, like I'm just, in the field. But just bringing it out in a different container is like it's more difficult for me to like embody it. And when you're speaking, it reminded me that when I was a kid, I was like so just, into music, into dance, like I was a dancer. And, in class, like there was this, I just like getting emotional, but there was like that music and like dance class. And I remember I was just like so proud of myself and giving my best. And just everybody started laughing. And I remember them saying, like, oh, I don't know how to translate it, but kind of say, like, you just do it too much, like you're just too much, or you're living it too much, or you're, I don't know. And since then, I felt like I just try to do things not in the passion or in the fullness that it is, but kind of dim it a bit. And it's the same with that light language, like, or expressing myself in that way, is that I find that there's that fear of like, am I going to be criticized for that? Or look at her, what is she, that's mumbo jumbo. And there's so many layers for it for me, because for me also, I grew up in a Christian environment. And just when I started my path, I was literally called so many things by, my old friends and family, and like, you lost it, you lost your mind. And also in like this Christian environment, there's a lot of like demonizing these things. And I also was, when I, growing up, when I was like 15, I started seeing through the veil again. I spoke about it and they took me to a priest to experience exorcism because it's demonic. So I feel like I have that in my field in terms of like coming out these things, and maybe something I want to dive into. But there is also that aspect, like growing up, like, oh, if you see through the veil or if you speak in tongues, it's demonic, which is so weird because some people, in religion and Christianity speak in tongues and they're not called like that. But there is that element. So there is that fear of like the projection. And it was like fear of projection. That's something I've been, I worked a lot through, because I had to take a big step even coming out on YouTube and sharing all that I do, because I was scared a lot of people's projections and then I came over it, and I, just got out of my own way. But with that, I find that especially like coming from family, like uh people that are dear to you saying like, oh, you're crazy, what are you talking about? So there is that aspect. That's one part of it that now that I'm talking about it, I can really feel it, like a lot of fire or like warmth in my system. And also there's this other thing I think you and I spoke about, Maya, that kind of not resonating. Like I sometimes having this fear of being associated or recognized or put in under the same umbrella as other people. And I know I personally do not resonate with the spirit, all the like the spiritual community in general. Like there's a lot of false light and inversion, and it's the same with light language. I feel like it's been distorted as well. So there's been a bit of that fear of being identified as, oh, you're one of those, and just realizing like, okay, like I have to get out of my own way, even now thinking about it, that these are all tools, and tools are things that either can be distorted, just like everything in life, either can be distorted or they can be used from the real space and from like with pure intention, and not to let these two things kind of blend in together and kind of just create that kind of that muck and not having clarity around that. But these have definitely been some years.
Yeah, it's like when the tools are used for a performative factor of I'm going to perform these tools because because I want to look a certain way, or because I want to seem like I know what I'm doing. It's like, it's so interesting. It's like you can use it like that to like exalt your self-image, or you can use the tools like genuinely like here I am as myself, and I know this can serve people.
Yeah, 100%. Especially that, like, if we remove kind of like the light language, just see it as music, like it's as if like you're just judging music for what it is. You're going to get musicians that you vibe with, that you feel they're really singing from their soul, and others you feel like there's some distortion in their, in their music. So I feel like not generalizing. And yeah, I think I do pick up on that performative, just distorted essence in some of the people that do light language. And I think it's given me that, a bit of allergic reaction. But again, it shouldn't, because this is one's own, expression. And it's like a tool that we should not bury just because of other people, infiltrating it.
And I think there's something about, social media and how it was during, because I was doing an article about this, and I was looking up stuff about manifestation and when did that really like become popular in the mainstream. And it was around like 2020 when COVID hit. It really like it went up. Everybody started getting so much more interested in like, spirituality, manifestation, and it started going into modern lingo, like, oh yes, we're gonna manifest that, yes girl, manifest it, or like, I don't know, something like that, where people are like, oh, I manifested that. Like people were not saying that before around 2020 in the mainstream. And I think it's so interesting with TikTok, because like being popular, I don't use TikTok, so this is just going off of what I'm sensing, is like on TikTok, I know there's a lot of creators that are in the like spiritual community. But also, you pair social media and how they say, to grab your attention and to be fast and to be like, oh, we're going to do this now and go. It's kind of like takes away from the like, it doesn't have to, okay? But I feel like it takes away from the sacredness of like dropping in, because you're just trying to be all like, get all of it and consume all of it. And I've fallen into that so many times. So that's what I got to say about that.
Exactly. I love that. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I think this is the difference of like that we see in the community out there, the like everything, the false shamans, the false light that has just literally infiltrated everything. And that just, leaks into that spiritual warfare that we're in. But us, it's interesting. Okay, again, back to this road. But us not expressing ourselves, again, you guys listening to this, whether it's through your tunes or sounds or just, we're not being in service. We're literally doing a disservice by shying away and shutting ourselves down. And it's so beautiful because now it's so beautiful. I just saw this, this image of like, kind of the battle, like the spiritual battle. And but through light language, it's interesting, like through sound, as if like, there's the mimicry and there's a false light. And I feel like this is the calling of like true, authentic self-expression. And it's, yeah, and that's just that battle I could see like through sounds and tunes, just like kind of, you know, going towards each other. It's just such a powerful visual. So I feel like that's a message that's coming through so strongly. We should no longer hide anymore, because this is part of who we are, and it's a very, very powerful tool. And what mimicry, it's all just, I'm just downloading all this right now, but literally the mimicry is literally when there's, in reality, when there's an incapacity to be in one's natural self. So when somebody's not being in their own natural self, either because of fear or because they are, envious of something else, or they're wanting to be something else, right? Because that's, again, the big spiritual warfare that's going on, where it's the inversion of the artificial matrix that's trying to be like the original blueprint, which is impossible. So they kind of mimic it. And I don't know if you guys listening to this, if you want to share, in the comments, but if you've noticed that it's not light language per se, but that you could maybe pick up on some people doing it and you're like, I'm not resonating with that. And then you pick up with other people and you can literally feel like a visceral, ancient knowledge that's just being, activated within you. And yeah, anything you want to add on that, like about the, mimicry versus embodied experience?
Oh my gosh, so many things came to my mind when you were saying that. Um, but yeah, I had like right before you started talking about it, I had the thought, a similar stream of what you were saying was that when people show up inauthentically, it's just because they doubt their own preciousness. This jealousy is like not seeing that you are precious, your own preciousness. That's from a song by Thorold Karan, called "People Are Jealous," and it's like people are jealous because they don't see how precious they are, and so they try to appear in the way that people would like them and that they would get the likes, instead of showing up as they are. And also, I felt like this was connected to what you were saying about when you're in ceremony, when you take plant medicines or do the Tamaskal. I haven't done Tamaskal, so I don't know. I don't know how that works. But when you are in ceremony and you feel so like powerful, like you feel your power, you feel your the potency of like of your frequency, and you're able to like express it. Like that time I had that flood of the light language come through, and I had other moments where I was just like, wow, like I'm feeling so here and I'm feeling so present and playful, and I just want to embody that. But when I come, back home, I still have that with me, but I'm like instantly the thought of like people are probably thinking I'm crazy right now. Like even if I am showing up more like from that energy, still that thought of people are probably thinking something's off with me, because and I would tell them I just took ayahuasca because I just want to like be open about it and just like, yeah, this is what I did and this is what happened, and just kind of like spread it around, like when I was in college, because I would take like breaks from class to go and take ayahuasca, like a couple of days off, because I was like, you know what, I'm learning more from ayahuasca than from school. Like, that's how I felt. And so when I felt like I was bringing that back in to a place that didn't really understand it, and in a way that I wanted to show up, and even in a way that I want to show up now, like with certain downloads that I had from ayahuasca, like the interaction space and the interaction space, and kind of going off in a tangent, but it's in the flow. So it was a ceremony where I was interacting as this little like geometry pattern, like a little line within this giant cosmic sea of this geometric patterns. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going the wrong way. Did I take the wrong way? Maybe I go this way. Maybe this way is right. And then somehow I felt the love of all that was be like interacting back with me in any way that I went. And so there was no wrong way for me to interact. There was no wrong way for me to go, because all that was wrapping me around in love and interacting back with me on like, and not putting me below, not putting me above, just like as an even playing field. Everything was allowed. to come from me. The things that I was most scared of, which was things that were most vulnerable, which were most authentic to me, were embraced. And so I had that experience, but yeah, bringing it into the world, like into like my embodiment here, there, it just feels like there's certain ways I want to express myself or certain things I want to do that there's just this giant fear response to. And I've been playing around with this exposure therapy. Like on my Instagram, I just post myself singing or like, you know, singing from the flow or like certain stuff that is more playful. But I feel like I haven't done that in a way where I like connect with people that in the way that I would really want to. So that's just my stuff on that.
Yeah, and that's actually reminding me of, I just literally can feel more and more that we're, decoding that whole energy, that there's a massive projection and there's like a massive projected layer that's been put on us in terms of like self-expression in general. But also that inversion also of the false light that's coming through, and the people that are tending to be real and raw, they're just, not wanting to blend in with that experience. And I just really feel like it's time to kind of completely pierce through that. It's reminding me of a Temazcal ceremony once that I held where, I was doing the usual energy work with the tunes and all that. And literally, like, there was a person that just was completely in resistance and just like, boom, no, 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 coming out. And what he actually said was like, yeah, because she doesn't look like, basically, because I'm not somebody that is into this like the spiritual performance of like what I wear, because I can be putting something here and I can be wearing necklaces and making myself look like a shaman or whatever. And literally that's what he said. He said, because she doesn't look like a shaman, like, so I could not receive what she was trying to say, so, or what she wanted to say, because there's a lot of that. And I think this is also where it's blending in, like, who are you to actually do that? Who are you with, like, with what authority do you think that you have the capacity? It's reminding me also about your ceremony where you shared about, you thought you're being created, like, why not? You are a shaman as well, Maya. You are a shaman as equal as the shipibo, that you sat with. We all are shamans deep within. So it's like there is this projection of like, who are you? You have to be in a specific box. And then when you're in that box, then actually, I will feel like worthy, or like I can actually receive what you have. And we're finding that layer that a lot of people, and I'm sure that you guys that are listening to this, you can relate to this because you are energetic sensitive. So you see through the BS, and you don't resonate with the whole performative act that is out there that a lot of people are trying to put out. And I think that's what more and more is wanting to come through, to see things for what they are, and all the facades that have been put out there are completely crumbling, because that is it. And I just want to add here, just to finalize and kind of wrap it up, it's also reminding me of another ceremony that happened, was when I experienced there was a person that actually was mimicking the codes and the tunes that were happening, that were taking place. And it's literally like a copy. So like imagine whatever sounds you were doing, like ha ha ha, and it's like the other person like ha ha ha, like literally doing the same. But what you can feel, that's why, like, going back to like energy, is that the energy is different, because when you are emitting and expressing something that is from your deepest core, and that within yourself, within yourself that you are harnessing the purest essence. So even if you feel like you are navigating, or you're going through some negative stuff that you're feeling, but you're moving them through your own self-expression, but that you're devoting yourself to the rawest and realest energy. So this is what you're emitting, you're wanting to emit it out from your core, then it's felt. And literally the mimicry is only gonna be stopped, it's not gonna be felt. It's literally like you can copy the words, but the energy you cannot copy. And that is one of the,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
And the people who are doing the mimicry are not feeling it themselves, right? They're
Exactly.
not embodying themselves. Also love what Richard said in the comments. It's fact. Many people will find it crazy, but others will recognize the vibration and know they share the same experience with you. Authenticity will bring the right people around you. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And I think that that's where it's like, I just felt like for me, that's been a big fear. And I think maybe we can move forward with something else. But that sometimes I had the fear like, are others thinking, that I'm doing this for something? Because I want to, like, it's interesting. Sometimes I would be doing it's like, okay. I'm not doing it because I want that attention. So there's been that fear that like actually let me not do it at all because fear of attention, but actually you're gonna get it, but it's not, you know what I mean? It's like you're gonna get attention and depends on the context, but it's not because you want to feed yourself. And I call that sometimes like that ego construct that we have of being the overly humble, overly scared of like looking, of our own ego, or that the egoistic aspect of ourselves are going to take over. And that's not for everybody, but I resonate with that. I have that. I don't know if you have that, Maya.
Yes, I was like, yes, me. I'm like, there's certain times where I'm like, ooh, I'm afraid that I'm showing up as egotistical right now, or that my ego's taking over. And I also notice with that, sometimes I project on other people that are showing up, and like perhaps they're showing up authentically too, just they're showing up in their power. And I'm like, oh, why are you owning it like that? Why I'm feeling like angry towards like, how can you own it like that, but I'm not able to own it like that. It's so interesting, but it comes together for me with those two things.
Exactly. I absolutely love it. And I think that's why the medicine, for us that have that is to like pierce through. It's just like, just give it your all and just, keep going and keep piercing through. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's I don't know why, but I was going to say something about like the rules and regulations of what it's like a trend almost of what it is. Right, like you said, to be spiritual. And I think there's a lot of talk also in the spiritual community about, because you want to be listening to somebody ultimately that is not going to lead you astray. I don't know where I'm going with this. That just came through. That just wanted to be said.
You mean like with
I
sound?
cried the first time I took the class.
You mean with sounds? Is that what you mean? That to be led astray with sounds?
Just in general, like from whoever it is that's speaking to you. And I think with the maybe fear that, is this person actually somebody I should follow? Or I should maybe not follow, but like, connect energetically with, listen to, or like guide me in some kind of way. I think with that comes the projection of what an image and an expectation of what that person should look like, so that we can keep the image of it in a box of what it should be, out of the fear of what it could be. Okay, that's like really cryptic. I'm so sorry. That sounds so cryptic. Did you understand anything I was saying?
Yeah, I think that's what I was coming up with is like kind of back to what I was talking about, the false light. It kind of made me think of like, even shamans, like there's a bit of that misconception of, that all Icaros, so Icaros are the Shipibo or shamanic
Ancestral prayers.
ancestral light language, if you want to call it this way. And, that is used in ceremonies, plant medicine ceremonies. And I feel like sometimes a lot of people think like all of them are sacred, all of them are healing. And what I personally found is that that is not the case. Because again, it depends on what, is it false light, or is it, we are made of sounds. And I think that's where going to bring us to like the next thing we're going to talk about, what's light language. But we are made of sounds, and that's why sound can be super healing, but also it can distort. So it can even distort our own codes within. Same with water, right? If you put sounds to water, it can either make it look so nice so it's all, even though it sounds nice, so it sounds like an Icaro, actually it can be encoded with something that is not of the light, that is not divine. Same thing with light language, same thing with speaking in tongues, in religion, that you find that people can imitate or make sounds, but actually it's, and it just feels like an allergic reaction. Same with mantras as well. Like it's, so I feel like now we're going down into the whole realm of like sounds, like what is really being emitted from. And I think that's why we're in this age right now where we've been so allured and disillusioned by the false light and giving our power away a lot to so many things, that we've lost that own inner authority and that our own inner intuition to be able to decipher and discern the codes that we are receiving from our external environment, through sounds, through whether the Icaros or speaking in tongues or light language. So yeah, that's what came through, Maya, when you're speaking. I don't know.
Yeah, see, it just flows. It just flows.
Yeah.
I think yeah, and it's right. Ultimately, it's like the energy that somebody is tapping into themselves and projecting through or translating through their voice so that it can then like impact other people. Because it's very like you can do a light language channeling through an energy of anger directed towards other people. You could do that, or through an energy of, oh, I'm going to use your energy. Because I've heard that happens in I heard this has happened in like ayahuasca ceremonies where a shaman basically like uses the ceremony to harness people's energy of like fear or doubt or stuff like that. But not necessarily like when you're feeling fear or doubt, that means that they're doing that. I'm just saying I've heard that's what has happened before.
Yeah, that's when sound is like a very powerful tool. So it's like it can act like like a knife, or it can act like something that's, because it's again going back to like grid work. So what codes is it feeding, and is it allowing the people to move the energy back into the source, the true source, and into divine light, or is it keeping them looping, in the old matrix, which is just looping into their own suffering, into their own pain, and into their own ego. And it's the same with like when you hear people, teachers or things like that, like using a lot of the spiritual language as well. It's like all sounds nice as a first layer. So same I feel with sounds, right? And I'm sure that many of you, like if you resonate with this because you're into music, so you have a very sensitive body that is into sounds and tunes, and that not everybody has, by the way. So if you're tuning into the frequency, you can hear like this is a really nice music, but just like people can speak something that is so nice, like teachers, or sound nice, like really nice language and really nice theory, but there's something really off in the background. So I feel now that we're talking more and more about this, Maya, I feel like this is it. It is a technology. It is a very powerful tool that is not to be underestimated. It cannot also be generalized. So we have to, just like healing, just like everything. So we have to kind of really have that power of deciphering. But yeah, I think that this is where I would like to come into the part of like, what would you translate, light language to be?
I feel like it's different every time. Every time I try to do it, every time I think about how to describe it. I like how you call it technology. Give me 1 second just to tune in. So, right, I mean, there's different ways people use it. I find it differently based on the use of it, because I've heard some people use light language like just for the playfulness of it, just to reconnect back to their inner child, right? That's a way you can use it, just to literally allow yourself to make any sound you want to make and to play with that and find your authentic frequency through that. And at the same time, it's a tool to, I'm going to use your word distortions, move through the distortions that are coming up perhaps within a field, that are coming up from the subconscious. For me, it's been a lot of like subconscious rewiring within myself. And it often helps me just process emotions so that I don't get stuck in them, so that I don't perpetuate them to a degree that's, like somebody would spiral into an emotion or a story. It helps me cut through that and go to the essence of what it is that needs attention within my body right now, or within, somebody else's body that I'm doing the light language with. And just focus. And it helps me also tune into like deep feeling of what is happening right now. Deep feeling in the body. Of whatever it is that is coming up, ready to be transmuted, so that more flow, more light, more consciousness can flow in. And that's the ways I've used it. I don't know how to put this into one sentence of a definition. What do you think?
I think that's perfect. And especially that you spoke into about being in the body. And we don't want to go back to it, but I think that's where it's like, is it coming from the body, or is it coming from, mimicry, or wanting to, the facade? And it tends to be a super powerful tool. But yeah, as for me, if I were to remove, the mimicry, the illusion, the technology that's being manipulated, I really see it as this expression and this tool to allow spirit to come through. And why I'm saying it's to allow spirit to come through. And as I'm saying this, I'm feeling this is also the way that both in religion, so speaking in tongues, or the shamans do, is to allow, to make space. So the moment that you start using those tunes, you're like kind of putting something in the back, which is the operating system, the ego, the construct, and you're allowing something higher than you, than this, the present I that is moving to come through. And that is why it's like just super powerful, because that is the first layer, right? And we kind of spoke into this, Maya, as well, when you said like it gets to get you out of your thoughts. But I really see it as this pathway to allow spirit to come through fully. And it's kind of reminding me as well of like when I use it for myself for grid work, energy work, is that I find that it's literally allowing that higher force to do, to be, to express. And it's like I'm fully surrendering to spirit. And I know that I am surrendering to spirit and nothing else, because I'm very discerning with these things. I don't let, I'm not someone that believes that to give authority to, spirit guides or things like that, because I know that there's a lot of mimicry and false light there. So I just fully devote myself to spirit, to great spirit. And I notice that sometimes it's like allowing the flow to happen and allowing spirit to direct and lead, rather than me wanting to lead where it wants to go. So for example, recently, something's been happening recently that just evolved, or something that I start seeing them, like before I just used to do it, and now like I start seeing them as codes in my third eye. Or like I started seeing them like, when you're playing music, it's like it kind of goes into like, go this way and go this way. And I don't know how to explain it, because
Oh
it's
my
like,
gosh. I'm going to have something to say about this. Continue, because it was just coming up for me that I want to say, but continue.
Okay, so I start seeing it, like I can't explain, because it's not like I'm seeing notes. And then the first time it came in the temas, I was like, what is that? It's like, just do it. Because before, when I was just flowing, it wasn't moving the energy. There was stuckness. There was a shadow. And then I just started following I don't know how to explain, maybe you can do now something, but like, like I just started following the lines and the codes. And then like just the energy started going, expanding, shattered the shadow. And just so I'm noticing that the more and more I start practicing this, the more I notice that I am literally just that conduit of letting spirit just express itself. And hence why the title, right, of this transmission is like light language is like it's a soul technology, allowing the code of you, the blueprint of you, if you allow it and you surrender to it and you surrender yourself to it, to come through. What are you going to say?
So much. Yes. Yes, that's the way I would put it. That's the way you put it, and that's exactly perfect definition in my opinion. Spirit coming through. And so a couple of things I want to say. It's the same way I feel about it even when I'm doing like I like to do singing flows, so channeling through singing but words. Like I'm singing words. I don't think of what word's going to come next. I literally just surrender to what's happening and I just got to trust it. Like right, cuz I can't once I start trying to control it, it's not going to feel like it feels like I'm just coming out of the flow for a bit. And then I'm just, trying and navigate back into the flow. But if I fully surrender and trust, and some of the things that are in the way at times from surrendering and trusting is that judgment, is that expectation of how it's supposed to be, all that kind of stuff. It's just the stuff in the way of what is already here, awaiting to come through you once your channel is clear and available and open and you show up for it to come through you. Now, I wanted to say about so relating this to like ayahuasca, the Shipibo tribe and ayahuasca ceremonies I had with the Yawanawa or the Yahe or the ayahuasca, yeah. In the Shipibo tribe, I was doing a dieta, and so it was like on the plants like babansana and Chirisanango, and I was asking the shamans a lot of questions, and the son of the shaman said that it's like the shaman is the guitar and the spirit of the plant that we're working with is like the person that's strumming the guitar. So the shaman is just the guitar that's available for the spirit to sing or play through them. So I thought that was interesting. And also, while I was in the ceremony, the last one I was talking about where I thought they were saying I'm crazy, in that ceremony, it was so cool because as they were singing, me and some other people were able to sing along, but without knowing, because this wasn't like a specific song. This was just from their flow, what was coming through. So it was fully like authentic in the moment. Like it wasn't a song they already had. And I was able to follow along with what they were singing, like in real time, without knowing what they're going to say, because I was tapped into that same thing. And what was really cool is as their, the sounds or the words, I'm not sure if they were speaking in their native tongue. Maybe they were. I think they were. But again, I don't know their tongue. But I saw while I was on ayahuasca, like it was so cool. It's like you were describing. It's like it was like this. They would sing a note and they would go do do do, and they would just kind of like it would just go together. And in real time, the geometry and the light would show up as they were singing, and it just got more and more like complex as it went on, because the song they were singing or the sounds they were making got more and more complex within that flow, and it was just so cool. And I just wanted to say, because it just related to what you were saying.
Exactly. I absolutely love that. And that's why it's just weaving into like it is a technology of like used for the battle, to grid work, and either seeing it like the opposing energy of just, infiltrating or creating those, it's harmonics. This is really what it is. And it's like harmonics of like, are they harmonics of God, of true God, or are they harmonics coming in from, oh, we know what we are. Like I just like literally, but like it's like it's like, so it's really that very powerful tool. I think now that I'm honestly very, very grateful for this conversation, honestly, because I feel like I'm getting more and more conviction of why this needs to come out even more, because this is no longer about, I just want to express myself. It's like, no, I'm even seeing it. This is a devotion to grid work and bringing in more of like God's divine grid onto earth. Like I'm really going on fully with it right now. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, to the light, like to the light. But when I say the light, I don't mean like the love and light and only that. I mean like the light as we are open towards the darkness, towards, moving through the light, moving through the darkness to like transmute it back into the light. but there would, right, there, it's like that conversation of like there wouldn't be, I know you talk about this in some of your videos, like there would not be no light without the darkness. So it's like we're even able to strengthen this within ourselves through the contrast of the darkness that shows up, right? Because this conversation and some of the stuff we were talking about wouldn't even be possible to talk about without the darkness being present. And a lot of my internal experience of like I experience like intense emotions sometimes, and like I've had a lot of intense mental like turmoil and experience and existential stuff, and it's like through all of that, it's just been so interesting to learn about how the darkness can take hold versus, well, and like through that, I learned about, that's how you learn about your own power in a way. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, for me, the way that I kind of break it down is that we're in a world of like amnesia and distortion fully. And it's about realizing and kind of accepting that there are those dark realms. And it's something that actually not many people on the spiritual path want to kind of face and accept, because maybe it's easier not to go into those realms. But at least for me, it's something that I have to come into full acceptance with, because I've been, I gaslit myself, and I've been gaslit with like, no, this is just, it's your imagination, or it's an aspect of yourself. And the things that I have seen beyond the veil and beyond the realm have been literally the agents of the fallen grid. And so for me, I feel like this path is the one of like reclaiming our own original blueprint. And I can call it like original because it truly is our original. It's not like, even in the concept of like new earth, for me, it's like not new earth. It's the ancient original blueprint of earth.
And reclaiming from all that was scattered, all those elements of ourselves that were scattered away from us by all those distortions.
Yeah, like reclaiming our original essence, our God spark and divine spark within, that is literally like buried deep within. And all the layers outside are just the layers of distortion, which are, the programming, the conditionings that we've taken, because the fallen grid does not have the capacity to engage in the way that it does, because it doesn't have the power of what true source has. So what it does, it feeds on distortion. So whenever we it even distorts the light itself. So that's why I'm saying, like, even going back to like the point of what we're talking here, it's like a technology to allow the reclamation of our core essence, which is the divine spark, outside of all the distortions that are literally standing like as layers and layers and layers and layers on top of that on top of that source code.
Yes. Just yes. Okay, I gotta use the bathroom, take a quick break. But if anybody has any questions for me and Natalia, please put them down in the comments. And I think after Natalia, what do you think? We should do another transmission?
Yes,
Go
we'll do
into
that.
it? Yeah.
We'll do the Q&A
Right.
and transmission as well.
Okay, I'll be right back. You can keep talking if you want. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen when I'm not here.
Yeah, we'll take that break for sure. Okay, everyone, we're back. So I was just checking in if there's any questions. We would absolutely love your prompts. If there's anything else you feel like we want us to dive into some clarity around. Just for glad you're being here now. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Yeah, just seeing if anybody else has any prompt. It's always good to bring some clarity. Otherwise we can dive into some transmission. So we could always do the transmission now, right? And then check in with the chat if there's any questions.
Yeah. Do we want to have oh, I love this next comment. It's exactly what we were talking about. See, I told you. No, it's so funny because I had people like comment on some of my past YouTube videos, like, how high are you? How many psychedelics have you taken? That kind of stuff. It's really interesting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that again is like going back to the projection, of what people believe.
Yeah, exactly. I manifested it. It came through. No, but really, like it's in my field a little bit. So like there we are, reflected out in the external.
Yeah.
But yeah, so do you have, and I don't know, we talked about this, but do you have like an intention that's coming through right now or anything like that for the activation? And also I wanted to say sometimes when I'm channeling light language, like in my last YouTube video about showing up as decide to be your true self, when I was channeling through the, just that video and opening up to the space, light language wanting to come through. And as the light language came through, it also helped me get, as I was saying the light language, I was getting the words to say like to the message. So sometimes that's how I work. But I don't know if you have something coming up right now that you want to like.
I think just roll and
intend.
flow back to like self-expression. It just made me think that, for me, it's like I also use it as like a tool for like holographic surgeries. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but basically and that's why also I don't use the word light language anymore. That's interesting. So I don't use it anymore, maybe because of all the distortions that have been placed on it. So I usually say like sound tunes transmission or sound frequency, that I'm making. But honestly, what I am feeling is like exactly everything we've been speaking of. So like allowing to gift that transmission for everybody listening of like allowing self-expression beyond distortions or projections.
Yeah. Freedom, playfulness, connection, presence, heart.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. But again, you just, roll with what you want.
Okay. So we want to take a breath for the audience, everybody listening. And exhaling, just relaxing down into your seat or whatever you're sitting on. Feeling the earth beneath you, gravity pulling you in, allowing you to relax deeper and deeper as you're aware of the earth and the sky above you. And the vast space beyond this earth. We come into the present moment and tap in to our essence, just as it is. Stung taiko go taiko Sahikyana eso kono esa kono sanai 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 sana hai
Movendo lai moendo lai ayendano 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 como se voshitano cosenato dali ivi marotande ase korita nei
Sanai kiana sotoi kiana kia amana asatuate kiata asashate ki iana kam Sakiana rukote ese shite kiana anaka oshite e hakana akiana ro hasaki anokoro e hasakina ayak wanara asatukuno ikia Secretaria Toria Shasato Tunaraki Asatukur Eki Ana Asa Shasakiana Iwate Ikiano Asa Sasakiana Asasakiana Kana Asatutana Ketatore Kia. Oh, so.
Maveua kenia tuma sakenia tula kariata wakania tuma shekenia kuma arivi eje ikinia tuma sakana okolo o wakiata sekenia tuma lakania India ake eje evia tuma lakania tama wakalia tenia uruwakania tanaso kopa ate e Vua jakania tuma lakania tuma walakania tuma walakania tuma walakania tuma walakania ago o i tanaka eze eve utukana shikinia tane ende erediri kuma ande eze ve aji kenia tuma la ande riri avua ir wakania ade eje kinia ande ere iriri tuakania masevoto loko muania tekenia shukuma iriririririririririri matekenia tumania takeveya ajovodororororororororo kuania tekenia tuakania kumasakeveke ere eriririri iriririri Uakaniatana. Itinia, utuana, akemia, sekeve, watania, tuana, kania,
Isakiana ikiataria osantatekia nasatuana ikia asor. Ikiana ikio vasa iana ikiana rasa. Hasatana ikiato kuak asti. Ustai Ndaukui Anaunguri Gun Eka sata ea asta kia a ma eka asta ea stua kia tara aya kia taturi anana ea tasuta kia asa shakia tari ata kia na asa kia asata kia tukara asata turi katur sata tuturu e kia ta 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 e u a e suku a e kia a amba e u u u u u u u u u u ka Hasata ake asata ata 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 mokia asata tadana ea kiatoro osakia tutore ea satutore ya akiana asa sasa hasakia sa shosoki katara kia anakasa kota ya safu esha.
Mawasanto beginning, Mawoto Ikansen Kiri, Ishamo Miyasho Mini, Sha 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 Sha, Nishayo Nishanini. Oduate kando takirane, uduando takinandere. Aini, 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 yani. Aini, 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 yani. Om Pekorotante Komani Om Tante Kolari Ento Imale Todiri I Miso Kemariri Hodante Makolagiri Ondane
Just noticing any sensations in your body, any shifts at all in your energy, allowing all of this to sink in as you relax here in this present now. Just as you are. Ho mane hi tane o. Ho mane hi tane ho. Ho mane hi mane o. Mate. Ho mane hi mane o. Shu 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 kameli kamelo. Shu 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 kameli kamelo. Ande baru kameli kamelo. Ake untaneri kamei kamelo. Ho mae hi mae u atene kene. Ho mae hi mae u akatena he. Ho mawe hi. Ho mawe hi. Ho mawe hi make u ate. Ho ho ate. Ae shon tane hi mae u wae ho mae hi mae u wae ho mawe hi ho mawe hi ho mawe hi mae u ho mawe hi ho mawe hi ho mawe i tonake nare ho mawe i yake na he tu tu ru 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 tu tu ru ru tu ru ru wae tu tu ru ru tu ru ru tu tu ru ru tu ru ru tu tu ru ru tu ru. Isakyana altai kya manaya tataria as was hikya mukha amai hekyano wasan hayanae surukuanai atashayantuai isotweno isa Isotwenu ai kan kanta ikya kanta I kya Gandai Kaundari Andai Hasata Ya Atua Astua A Ya Da Adara Ya Wasata Shwa Sataria Shwa Ataria Atara Shasakya Atanaya Kya Atanakyana asatarikyana asatana wata ekyana was ya karatu hasata.
Inamo kia kia. Inamo laye. Inamo laye. Wakore na doze view. Wakelo dale tanorini. Yeah. Makelo daneru. Makelo daneri danorini. Makelo daye. Makelo dayi dayu daye. Makelo dari dande. Ansen no larini. Ansen no larini. Mae o mato. Mae o tande laiko.
That was a whole journey.
I'm still buzzing. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. It's so interesting how I just, like, in my experience, I felt like multiple emotions and like, moving through my field. And at the same time, this like, as this playfulness and this, like, I love what Richard said, like how he said, rolling the drum, rolling the eyes to the sky, vibrate the intent of the heart, unison with everything, love, life, and light to every creature. It's like this kind of like, that kind of vibe. that as that was coming in while moving through like the internal journey, whatever that was for each person.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was amazing. I was buzzing. And honestly, I felt like just co-creating this with you was just so beautiful. Like I felt just such an aligning harmonics with you, like you're saying your tunes, I was just going with it. And then I was going there, and then that's how I felt. I felt it was really a dance. I don't know how, people listening to this.
Yes. And I love how you like, I felt like when you were doing it, maybe the last 2 times, I felt this kind of like, I don't want to say like motherly, but I don't know what other word, like this kind of like calming down, or like a letting the energies ground in. I don't know what you were feeling, but that's what I was feeling from you, like letting the energies ground in. It's like we're at the end of a journey, and everything that we learned is now you're helping us integrate it. That's how I felt you near the end.
Well, I was vibing. I mean, I was like at one point I was just like, even with the drum, I was just like I felt just so much vibration in my body. It was so beautiful. And just that duo with you, I just really appreciate it. I really felt like I was just dancing with it. Yeah.
I appreciate you. Oh my gosh. I appreciate it so much. It's so beautiful. Yes. Okay. Luminal Mind. Yo, what's up, Luminal Mind? Said, I felt a nurturing, a call to action. Yes. Yeah. I feel like for me, when I was doing it, I was literally just going through the theme of like what we were saying and everything that was coming up. I was talking to it. And then I was like energetically kind of urging to step into who you are, into the light, right?
Yeah.
As we're moving through. That's what I was kind of feeling as I was doing it.
You know what I felt? I felt like this transmission was an alchemy, because how I'm feeling now, I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like I'm just gonna go take my drum and just like we moved through like what we were like when I was in it at the end, when we were like vibing, none of it mattered. Like as if all that we spoke about, like I know that we had to share it, but as if none of it mattered. I was like, that's it. When you're in it, where you're in the flow, you're with God and just nothing else matters.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and more yeah. And I felt like I was laughing at certain points when we were doing it. I was like, I love this energy. It's so fun. I was laughing. Yeah.
When you were I felt at points when you were like singing, because also this is the first time, right, that I do this with you. This is the first time I hear you doing them like that. I felt a very serpentine energy.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I wasn't seeing anything on this transmission, which sometimes I see things, or this was just very like flow. But okay, another ayahuasca story. At one point, because ayahuasca is the snake, and at one point I remember I was hissing into this like multi-dimensional hole through the bucket, like my vomit bucket, and I was speaking in snake language. So maybe that was the first time I did like light language or something, because I was literally hissing, but I felt like I was saying words through the hissing to the snake on the other side. Yeah. So serpents, I don't know. That's the experience I had there.
Yeah, I felt like it could be one of your, multidimensional expression of yourself or animal, because I just could feel it. And even like my spine, I started feeling like I was just moving with it, and then, and then tuning in with it.
That's super interesting. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm happy to do this with you, and for everybody that joined and everybody that is watching. Thank you so much for being here.
All for being here. I guess there were no questions. I was trying to scroll. I mean, Yeah. Oh, wow. I definitely didn't see those messages when we were tuning in. So thank you all for just supporting with your presence and with your comments. Really appreciate it and hope you received what you needed to receive from this transmission. Yeah, and I guess that there are no questions. So any last words on your end, Maya? You feel like sharing?
This is great. I can't believe we're live right now. Like I don't even feel like I don't know what's going on. Like I didn't think I would like feel like I'm not live when I'm live. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like everything that because this is my first live ever on anything ever. So I like was like, oh my gosh. But I'm not feeling that. So
But that's
yeah,
it.
that's what I gotta share.
It's just being raw because you're okay being raw, with yourself. You're being real. It doesn't feel like you need to perform, because I'm sure like if there was a need to perform, it wouldn't have felt the same way. It's just
No, I would have if every time I like notice myself doing that, I feel like a constriction inside of me, right? Either in my body, in my sensations, or the thoughts just like attack me, And there's the spaciousness is when you know you're being real of what is.
exactly. Oh, I love this. Yeah, okay. So I feel good to wrap it up again. Thank you all so much for being here. And I think that will be all.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So much love to everybody.
Yes.
Ciao.
This is so fun. And now it all releases into the infinite spaciousness. Yes, Richard.
Aho.